At Proctor Public Schools, we're more than just a district. We're a journey. Every day, our teachers, staff, and students work together, building knowledge, confidence, and character mile by mile. From our early learners to our graduates ready for the world ahead, we're fueling curiosity, connecting ideas, and driving innovation, all while keeping our eyes on the horizon. Because here in Proctor, we don't just ride the rails, we are the rails, educating, engaging, and inspiring the next generation to go full steam ahead.
We'll call to order the regular school board meeting of Monday, April 27th, 2026. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, would you go ahead and do roll, please?
McDonald.
Here.
Peterson. Here. Cochranich. Here. Pagornik.
Here.
Shelton. Here. Sunbaum. Here. Ward. Student liaison members: Malakia Brostrom, Clara Kaczynski, Lakin Lyons, Olivia Morin Swanson, Lillian Tallarico.
Here.
Also in attendance is Tim Roweter, Superintendent, and Business Manager Garrett Hulkren, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to review our mission and our vision and mission statements. We are driven by purpose and powered by community to educate, engage, and inspire. Next item on the agenda is an adoption of the agenda as presented. You'll notice there are some revisions here, beginning with the consent agenda, the elimination of item H, and also some changes to items L, M, N, and O, and looks like P, I believe, would be the addition. Just double checking the rest of the agenda. That looks to be it. Take some time to review those adjustments there. We can ask clarifying questions during the approval of the consent agenda as well. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the adoption of the agenda?
Jen, oh, go ahead. I'll
I
move
heard
the first.
Lynn and Amy. No?
It was me.
Okay, it was Tam. Okay,
Jen,
sorry.
Tammy.
Tammy, and second by Amy.
There we go.
All right, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Does anyone have any questions regarding the agenda itself? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Number 5 is an approval of the minutes of the regular school board meeting of April 13th, 2026. We're looking for a motion. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll move that second.
Thank you, Tammy. Does anyone have any questions regarding those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. We will move on to public comment. I understand there are people that may want to speak tonight. As a reminder, the school board meeting is a business meeting of the school district that occurs in the public. It is not a public forum. The public comment portion of our meeting is a time where we offer an opportunity for members of the public to address the board. Once we move from this portion of our meeting, members of the public will no longer be allowed to address the board. As a general rule, the board will listen to members of the public but will not comment on or respond to any comments made by speakers. The board will not engage in dialogue, though any board member may ask questions. Please do not include the names of Proctor Public School students or employees, their title or building location in your remarks for your own legal protection and the legal rights of our students and staff. Issues related to school district employees can be made in writing and can be directed to the Human Resources Department at Proctor Public Schools. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Speakers may not roll their time to another speaker. Please begin your presentation by stating your name, including the spelling, and who you represent if applicable. In the spirit of fairness to all participants, the board requests that you respect this format. Thank you for taking the time today to attend this meeting and share your concerns. Is there anyone here that would like to speak during public comment? Okay, you can go ahead and reach the podium. You don't have to adjust the mic. And can you make sure you just say your name and spell it for us? Thank you.
Allison Hoffbauer, Allison Hoffbauer. Yes. Good evening. As a parent with children at Bayview Elementary, I've come to speak about my concerns about predicted budget gaps and the impacts it will have on my children's educational experience. To begin, I had a difficult time finding any information about the budget process, the decision-making framework, and the timeline for how these cuts and information will be shared with families and the community. The district's strategic plan emphasizes transparency for families with regular communication, but these potential budget gaps and solutions for these have been noticeably absent from communications I've received as a parent. This feels challenging when nearby districts have shared detailed plans, provided opportunities for parent, teacher, and community feedback, and given specific information about cuts ahead of school board approval. My concern as a Bayview parent is that cuts and reductions will be prioritized in positions that have direct student contact without fully considering other areas that would minimize disruption to student learning. The potential loss of the Check and Connect positions is alarming in both the nature of the work that those staff do for our students and in wondering who picks up the pieces if those funds are cut and positions are not replaced. Just because the grant disappears doesn't mean the student need does. In addition, the loss of that program significantly impacts some buildings more than others, and it leads me to question how the district is ensuring that reductions this year are equitable between the two elementary sites. The demographics are available for all to see, and we all know that a classroom of 24 students at Pike Lake does not have the same needs as 24 students at Bayview. All students at both sites deserve to have the staffing and support they need to succeed. I need it to be equitable, which may not mean equal between sites. My children have thrived at Bayview, and their classroom teachers are the reason they get excited to go to school and the reason that my husband and I brag about the education our children get. We care deeply about continuing our children's success at Proctor Public Schools. And when I hear about increasing class sizes through the reduction of classroom sections while simultaneously potentially losing the support of Check and Connect, I need to know that all stakeholders have been involved in the planning process. How can I know that the district has vetted out all other potential reductions in areas behind the scenes of student contact, such as curriculum and technology, before making cuts to staff that have face-to-face interactions with my students every day and make their experience a deeply positive one? I want the district to include families, teachers, staff members, and community members throughout this process. I want the district to know that each of these groups owns a part of our children's education and deserves to be a part of this process before decisions are made and approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is there anyone else here tonight that would like to address the board? Okay. We will move on then to communications. The board would like to commend Natasha Ellis on a successful community yard sale hosted at the indoor turf on April 11. 40 vendors participated and more than 500 people stopped by. We would like to commend Caitlin Kohler, Youth Enrichment Coordinator, for all of her efforts in tabling at local Proctor and Hermantown community events and at Duluth area events throughout the school year to raise awareness of community education and our opportunities. Congratulations to Chloe Carlson for being named to the Duluth News Tribune All-Area First Team for basketball. The board would like to commend the entire Proctor Food Service staff for their dedication to preparing nutritious meals for our students and faculty. May 1st is School Lunch Hero Day. The board would like to commend the teaching faculty for their continued dedication and commitment to our students. Teacher Appreciation Week is May 4th through the 8th. Thank you to our school nurses for their kindness and compassion for our students. National School Nurse Day is May 6th. Thank you to Lowell Harnell and Wayne Miskin for their leadership in organizing the 30th annual Billy Moen Floor Hockey Tournament, continuing a tradition that dates back to 1996. A special thank you to Wayne for making the jerseys for this year's tournament. The board would like to congratulate the following students for being nominated to the Spring Homecoming Court. Queen candidates Malakia Brostrom, Jaden Digman, Suri Langley, Cadence Madison, Isabella McPhee, and King candidates Anthony Busam, Gavin Davidson, Wynn Giswald, Lakin Lyons, and Michael McDougall. The King and Queen will be crowned during the AAA Assembly on Thursday, April 30th. A lot of things to be celebrated in our district. If there are no other commendations or congratulations that we need to bring to attention tonight, I'd like to move on to student liaison comments. Lily?
I have recent happenings at Bayview and at JMS. At Bayview, they're wrapping up MCA testing this week, and next week is buy one, get one free at the book fair. This is always a huge success, and Tuesday, May 5th, is family night at the book fair. Also, this week we have a young author visiting. Her name is Ruby Gregorick, and she will be reading her book, Barney, to our students this week during their library time. She's a 6th grader at Stella Mars. And at JMS, the past few weeks, they have been doing MCA testing also. This week, they'll be finishing up with 8th grade science. Lots of exciting things are coming up. Their last middle school dance will be next Friday, May 8th. And they have 8th grade formal on the 15th. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lily. We'll move on to communications. Items relating to the district from the Proctor Journal. The school district is always very grateful for the opportunities that the Proctor Journal uses to share our district. I'd like to bring attention to the Student of the Week for April 16th, 2026, Jack Moore Swanson. And items related to the district from WDIO. There was a piece on April 22nd, Up North, the legacy of the Billy Moen Floor Hockey Tournament. All right, we'll move on to consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes that we saw with our revised agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved by Amy.
There's a motion by Amy. Is there a second? I can second that. Does anyone have any questions or need clarification on the adjustments made in the agenda? Tim, maybe if you just want to shed light, was there just grammatical errors as you...
Yeah, and
okay.
Honestly, I don't know where the original information stemmed from.
This
The
wasn't
stuff
what...
that's in there now is what I had in my notes too, but I don't know why,
Okay.
how I entered it incorrectly on there, but I
Perfect.
appreciate people pointing that out so that I can correct it. So the administrators and some of our union reps are like, hey, no, wait. So I appreciate that.
Perfect.
Got it fixed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Superintendent, is your mic on?
Yes.
We're not hearing you real well.
How about now? Check 1, 2.
All right. With those clarifications, does anyone have any questions regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Moving on to informational items and reports. Do we have any pre-approved presentations tonight? Doesn't look like it. We'll move on then to the superintendent report.
Thank you, and once again, I will kind of combine B and C there, superintendent report with strategic plan update, is they kind of go hand in hand right now with the work that we're doing. But first thing I guess I want to do is thank the board for allowing me to participate in the Great Start cohort through MASA for new superintendents. This last week I finished that process, the 7th session out of the 7, and it was a great experience, made a lot of great connections with superintendents around the state, and Deb Hinton, the MASA director, and her crew did a great job of making sure that we had a lot of tools at each session that we could build in our toolbox, and to be better leaders and better superintendents. So thank you for the opportunity to be a part of that. You may have gotten in the mail this weekend a postcard for our community engagement meeting that's coming up on May 7th. I think we have 30 or 40 people signed up so far, and Jensa is hoping for over 100. That's their goal. It's at Blackwoods at 6 o'clock on May 7th, and childcare is provided, and there'll be a meal. And again, that meeting is very important for the assessment planning and assessment that's being done about our facilities and the future of what we're going to be doing with our facilities. So the more people we can have, the more voices we can have there to contribute, will help them create their assessment and help us come up with a plan for the future. So looking forward to that. Also, as part of the facilities assessment, Jensa teamed up with a group called Teamworks to do a demographic, housing, and enrollment analysis of our district. And this last week, they presented kind of a draft version of this. And I'm going to just kind of hand these around. You can take a look at them, but it's very, very dense with information. There's maps, there's all kinds of things that are going to help us understand kind of targeted and strategic efforts to increase enrollment, to understand where our students live, and to understand demographics throughout our district. One area that they are missing is information about the new development on Kirkus Street by our arena. One of the future phases of that development is housing. And so I'm meeting with Jessica Rich and Eric Madsen on Wednesday, just as the city administrator, and Eric's part of the Economic Development Authority for Proctor, and to kind of get a better idea of what they're thinking in regards to housing in that phase 2 or phase 3 of the project, so that we could share that information with Teamworks and they can develop a better kind of prediction as to what maybe our enrollment will look like down the road. Because as it stands in this report, they're seeing an enrollment kind of decline over the next 10 years overall, just based on the current demographics and current birth rates and all those different things. And one of the biggest areas that they pointed to in this report that we could recover some enrollment is just market share. They talk about market share. Currently our market share in the district in terms of serving our students, like students that live in our Proctor School District that are of school age, currently we're serving 71% of our students in our schools. And so the high school being kind of the one with the lowest at about 63%, and the elementaries being the higher market share. And so they kind of identify in this report kind of areas of the district where we might be losing students and where they're living and proximity and those types of things. So there's a lot of information in this report that we can use to strategize, and it's going to take a while to digest, but they wanted to present this report prior to all the other information in the assessment because there's a lot to digest with it. So I will be sending each of you a copy of this report so you can look at it, and as we move forward, we can have more discussions at board meetings about what we're seeing in there and what are some of the results that they came up with, some of the predictions. But this is kind of an indication of kind of data that we're going to get from the assessment overall. The deliverables that they're going to bring to us in June, end of May and June, are going to be quite extensive and a lot of information for us to use to strategize moving forward and set goals for long term. So I'm excited about that, and they also have a lot of ideas of ways that we can increase our market share. They said just even increasing our market share to 75% will cause our enrollment to increase over the next 10 years instead of decrease. So so again, the maps show you kind of where we can target what specific areas, things like that. So a lot of good information to use, and like I said, I'll send you an electronic version of that, and also at the next board meeting I'll have a printed copy for each of you to have with the updated information from the housing development at Kirkus. One of the things in our consent agenda that you might have seen is our contract with Coca-Cola is expiring here this year. In the 10-year agreement that we've had with them to be exclusive non-alcoholic beverage, providers for our district. And so over the last several months, we've collected proposals from different vendors to see kind of what the plan would be moving forward. And we've landed on Burnix Pepsi being our partner now for the next 10 years. And I included in your packet some information about that agreement that we have with them. They're going to be great partners for us for the next 10 years. So and they're going to provide things for our district and things for our different student groups and so on and so forth. So we're excited about that. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of start fresh. Coming in, we have a lot of different machines and stuff around the district, so being able to pull those out and start new with Pepsi. One of the big factors was the bubbler effect. Bubbler is very popular amongst people, so so that's something that was part of the consideration as we were looking at those different proposals. So so that'll start in July. It'll start seeing the transition to Pepsi products in our concession stands and vending machines around the district. So Proctor U. Proctor U, as you know, is our college credits in our schools. During our registration period at the high school, we promoted Proctor U as 17 courses that offer college credit right inside our school. And I'm happy to report that we've had to add sections. We've had all those sections of Proctor U classes are very full. And the number of students, new students who have expressed interest in going PSEO has pretty much gone away. So we have students that are going to continue PSEO, but new students, we haven't really seen that happening. So kind of our goal in this whole process has kind of been realized, keeping students on campus, giving them that support and college credit right here. I commend our administration and our counselors for the work they did on that, promoting that opportunity here on our site. One of the things that we're hoping to do here very soon is to upgrade or to, I guess, revamp the playground at Bayview. I know the PI group at Bayview has been working hard to raise money to upgrade the playground. We have some drainage and some safety concerns with our current playground there. And so we've been meeting with Joe Kressel and Diane Morin over there, along with some representatives from playground companies, to kind of look and see where we might want to put a playground there, different from where it is now, to avoid the drainage issues and the washaway issues that we're having. And so we met again today, and one of the proposals is to use the field down below as a potential playground area. Obviously, we'd have to bring in fill and build it up a little bit, but we could really make that area with the picnic tables and pavilion and soccer field and things like that more of a community area with the playground right there. But as far as ballpark cost, would be about $200,000 to do the whole project. And so now that we kind of have a vision and a plan, we can go to our community partners out there that might be interested in partnering with us on that project. So that's kind of the next step in that. So excited to kind of keep seeing that move forward and to provide a nice new play area. So I mentioned in the superintendent update that Clink Park is kind of a long overdue thing, but Proctor Youth Baseball is actually putting up a net along the road to avoid fall balls from going into the road and into private property. So I appreciate their leadership there and getting that done and taking care of that. So they're in the process now of putting the poles up and getting the netting up so that when they start the season, they can have that there. And then finally, I mentioned before, we have an e-learning task force that's working on developing our e-learning plan that we can submit to the state that we can use next year if needed in situations where we have excessive snow days, things like that, so we can avoid what we had to do the last 2 years and take away staff learning days to make up student days. And so that's it's been a great group. About 15 teachers and staff members are on that committee, and a lot of great conversation that's been happening about what this should look like at each grade level. And so we'll continue that. Next week is our next meeting for that, and we'll continue that process. And same thing with our AI task force. We had our first meeting just last week, and great conversation. There's so much to unpack with AI that it's going to be quite a process to come up with a policy for our school district and all the different layers and different elements of AI and how it impacts everything that we're doing right now in our schools, from curriculum to mental health to just academic integrity, those types of things, and just learning in itself. You know, how are we learning, and how are we using this in the early years in elementary and so on and so forth, you know, when learning learning how to learn is so important. So the group that we have has been, the first meeting was all about just kind of why are we here and what are all of our, just unpacking all of our beliefs about AI. In that first meeting, there's quite a bit of things to, I guess, be concerned about and some things to be optimistic about too, so, and how we can. So with that, that's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for Tim, anyone? Thank you. We'll move on then to reports. School board or district committees, the policy committee met 2 weeks ago, and that was included in your packet. And also the staff development committee had a meeting that first couple weeks of April as well. And that packet is in your, that's in your packet as well. And I think the district advisory committee just met this evening, so that will be a committee report pending for the next meeting. Any questions about those? All right, any legislative updates to report on?
Yeah, there's 3 weeks left in the session, and it's kind of getting down to, committees are kind of getting done with their work. The Senate in the state is pushing out some different bills and omnibus bills, but the House, is being its tie, has really struggled getting anything really done in committee. So there's not a lot of optimism out there as to things coming out to support schools this year. There has been a lot of groundwork done to kind of maybe set the stage for next year for some things as you get into a budget year next year. A couple of things that of note that have come up that are kind of getting some traction that might be revisited next year depending on how the election goes this fall. One of them is minimum salaries for educators across the state. So there's a bill that was proposed that would pay educators $60,000 for a 1.0 FTE, a minimum salary, and then $80,000 for a master's degree and $100,000 for master's plus 10 years, which would be interesting to see how they would pay for that or how we would. But again, it's out there, and it's one of those things that depending on how the election goes, it might be something that goes through next year. So it's something that we got to kind of keep an eye on and be aware of. Same thing with the statewide health insurance. That probably isn't going to go anywhere this year, but I think there's a lot of stuff set up for next year, maybe having that go through as well. So it'll be interesting to kind of watch those two things. One of the things I put in front of you on your table is information about the Minnesota's Permanent School Fund. There's a constitutional amendment that is being considered, a change to the constitutional amendment. Currently, there's a trust that it started back in 1858. So land and natural resource revenues were set aside in a trust specifically to support public education. So currently, the money that schools get is basically from the interest from that. And so there's talk about moving to a different model that would increase the amounts from that trust to schools that would almost double the amount that we're getting. So if it passes the state, it would have to go to a vote in the fall to voters to approve this change in the constitutional amendment. So if it passes the state legislature, there's going to be a lot of guidance for schools and school boards in terms of how to educate your voters about what this means and how it could support and help schools in terms of funding. So it would be about $100,000 for us difference that we would get additional. Definitely something. It's definitely worthwhile to keep an eye on. And again, if it passes the state, which it looks like it very well could, we definitely want to do our part and our work leading up to the November election to educate our stakeholders to vote yes on that, so that we can get some more funding from that trust. So that's all I got on legislative.
All right, thank you. Board goals. Do we have any updates on our board goals? Not yet. Okay. And finally, township and city communications. Anything to report on that?
Other than I'm meeting with Jess Rich and Eric on Wednesday, and hopefully I'll be able to come back next meeting with an update of where the project is at on purpose. So.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Item 10, action items or items for individual action. We'll begin with the Finance Director's report and the approval of the Treasurer's report. Garrett?
Yeah, so in front of you, you guys have 3 pieces of paper um, with financial information on them. So the top one that has page 1 of 1 is a breakdown of our year-to-date expenditures by program area. So that looks at, like in the case of like a salary, what that individual gaining that salary does, and then it's in that category. So there's a category for administration, support service, food service. So just kind of give you an idea of where we are year-to-date against our budget. And then the next 2 pages are the same expenditure information by our object series, and this would be by the type of expenditure. So all of the salaries would be in one bucket, all benefits in a different bucket. So kind of 2 different ways that we can look at how we're doing against our budget.
Did you say as a percentage of where we're at in the year? Are we at 75% of the school year?
Around there.
Around there?
It's hard to tell. Food service is going to be off a little bit because we budgeted for some things last year that didn't get finished until this year. So we're going to see, if we look at that one, there's a large, $276,000 deficit currently, but last year we had a large surplus in there. So
Sure. But just as far as like on the scale, like if we were just to gauge, we're about 3/4 of the way through, right?
yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then, does anyone have any questions regarding, is that all you had to report
Yeah,
on?
that's
Okay.
all I got.
Any questions on that at all for Garrett? Okay. All right, well, we will move on then to approve the payment of bills dated April 13th, 2026 in the amount of $98,804.77, covering checks 126485 through 126577 and all ACH transfers, and also to approve the payment of bills dated April 20, 2026 in the amount of $337,220.74, covering checks 126578 through 126639. Looking for motion.
So moved by Amy.
There's a motion by Amy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lynn. Does anyone have any questions regarding the finance report today? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Let's see here. Items that require board approval. Request Education Minnesota Proctor to vote to authorize the continued allocation of 1% of the staff development funds for use in the general fund for the 2026 through 2027 academic year. Looking for a motion. There's a motion by Larry. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tammy. Does anyone have any questions regarding this item on the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Approve and adopt district policies due to minor and legislative changes. Policy 211, criminal or civil action against the school district or a school board member, school district employee, or a student. Policy 301, school district administration. Policy 302, superintendent. Policy 303, superintendent selection. Policy 304, superintendent contracts, duties, evaluation. Policy 305, policy implementation. Policy 404, employment background checks. Policy 405, veterans preference. Policy 406, public and private personnel data. Policy 410, family and medical leave. Policy 418, drug-free workplace, drug-free school. Policy 420, students and employees with sexually transmitted infections and diseases and certain other communicable diseases and infectious conditions. Policy 421, gifts to employees and school board members. Policy 422, policies incorporated by reference. Policy 520, student surveys. Policy 604, instructional curriculum. Policy 613, graduation requirements. Policy 616, school district system accountability. District Policy 619, staff development for standards. Is that correct, Lynn? Yeah, it should be policy. Okay, so Policy 619, thank you. And Policy 620, credit for learning. Policy 713, student activity accounting. Looking for a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion by Amy. Is there a second?
I'll
There's There's a second by Lynn. Does anyone have any questions regarding these policies that had minor or legislative changes?
And these are all required by law.
Thank you. All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 And those opposed? And that motion carries. Approve the first reading of the suggested district policy changes. These policies include Policy 401, Equal Opportunity Employment, Policy 427, Workload Limits for Certain Special Education Teachers, Policy 503, Student Attendance, Policy 515, Protection and Privacy of Student Records, Policy 530, Immunization Requirements, Policy 615, Testing Accommodations, Modifications, and Exemptions for IEPs, Section 504 plans, and LEP students, Policy 618, Assessment of Student Achievement, Policy 721, Procurement. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion by Lynn. Is there a second?
I can second.
I heard Larry. Yes. Does anyone have any questions regarding these policies? It's the first reading. Second reading comes next time.
And these are the policies that had the most changes, and some of them are MSBA suggestions, and that's why there is a second page for them.
Thank you. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? And that motion carries. Moving on to resolutions. Item C1, adopt the resolution non-renewing a probationary teacher, Colton Duksevich. And these are motions, each one of them separately?
Each one is a
Okay.
separate motion,
So looking for a motion. Thank you, Larry. Is there a second?
Second by Amy.
Second by Amy. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none,
Oh,
this is a roll call for resolution. Go ahead, Lynn.
Sunbon,
Yes.
Shelton. Pocranich.
Yes.
Podgornik.
Yes.
Peterson, yes. McDonald,
Yes.
unanimously approved. Thank you.
Next is to adopt the resolution non-renewing a probationary teacher, Callie Dugstead. Looking for a motion.
So moved by Amy.
There's a motion by Amy. Is there a second? Thank you, Larry. Any questions? Go ahead with roll call when you're ready, Lynn.
McDonald,
Yes.
Peterson, yes. Pocranich.
Yes.
Podgornik,
Yes.
Shelton. Sunbon,
Yes.
unanimously approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Adopt the resolution non-renewing a probationary teacher, Elise Turberg. Looking for a motion. Thank you, Larry. Is there a second? I can second that, Jen. Any questions? Go ahead with roll call when you're ready, Lynn.
Podgornik,
Yes.
Shelton. Sunbon,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Peterson, yes. Pocranich,
Yes.
unanimously approved. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Number 11, board member comments. Does anyone have any comments to make tonight at our meeting?
I had a couple. I wanted to mention again the Billy Moen floor hockey tournament. For some people, it really is a big deal. I've had lots of people come to me and say, oh my gosh, my kids did it. And now their kids are doing it, so it was exciting. The other thing, I had the honor of being a judge at the National